Hello, my name is Waylon Lewis, and every week we'll bring you a new podcast with Elephant Journal.
Hey everyone, my name is Waylon, and I have a really, I think, easy, sort of slam dunk, wonderful guest and conversation today for you. It's Cameron Weiss, the gentleman behind Weiss Watches. And if you don't know Weiss, you're going to if you listen. So I encourage you to follow them. You can follow, we'll add their @ in the caption, all that once it's live. Cameron, if you're coming on, just request to join. And we're going to discuss kind of ethical, eco, made in the USA craft, which in many ways is a dying thing. So anytime there's sort of the opposite going on, I love to feature folks. We recently had my friend Kevin, longtime buddy behind Conway Electric on. And yeah, there's a lot of challenges. It's easy to be a fan of it, but it can be hard to do. Cameron, welcome.
Hello.
How's it going? Audio good?
Good to be here. Nice to meet you in person.
Yeah, exactly. Almost in person.
Yeah, almost.
Yeah. So, I've been such a fan. So maybe for those who don't know anything about Weiss, like how long have you been around? What is special about Weiss as opposed to other great or not great watch companies? And how the heck did you get into this?
Yeah, so we have been around for 10 years now, which this is our 10-year anniversary right this summer, which is great. So I focus on mechanical watches, which means no batteries. And typically you'll find that in Switzerland, which is the other side of the earth. So making watches here in the US is a little tricky, especially when they're mechanical watches. There's not really any manufacturing infrastructure for that type of product.
Why is it especially tricky for mechanical as opposed to auto?
Well, mechanical includes automatic watch. It really just means that there's no battery.
Okay.
It's power. So we wind up a spring either with a weight that's in the watch that moves when your arm moves,
right,
and that will wind up the spring, or you can turn the crown for a manually wound watch, and that will wind the same spring. And we have to keep adding input either by turning the crown or moving our keep the watch charged, as opposed to buying lithium batteries, the little cell batteries that go into most quartz watches, or using like an Apple Watch, right, that has to be plugged into a wall every night in order to continue operating. So a mechanical watch will last much longer because you are the one powering it, but also all the parts are metal. There's nothing plastic or electronic that goes obsolete, right? They're antique already. These are obsolete items, so there's no fear that they will go obsolete.
So, sorry, we have some construction here in my house, kind of nonstop. Can you hear okay?
Yeah, I can hear great.
Yeah, so I'm not a watch guy, but I am a craft guy and a appreciator of people doing kind of hard things. And I think, for those who don't know, and, again, correct me if I'm wrong, because again, I'm not a watch guy, but, there's not many made in the USA. I mean, it's a very, very short list, watches that are actually, trying to make just about everything within reason in the US.
Yeah. It's very rare to find anyone making any watch parts in the US. The U.S. economy, especially in watches, is more design related, and then outsourcing any kind of manufacturing overseas,
right.
Which I like the idea with a lot of the things that I surround myself with. I like the idea that it's made by somebody that I know, or something nearby, geographically nearby. That makes me feel good knowing that there's a smaller footprint and I'm personally somehow connected to the person who's making that product.
Yeah, I remember when I got the Weiss, you know, I was in LA for Natural Products Expo, which you may have heard of. Are you in LA or where are you based?
We started in LA and 3 years ago moved to Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay, cool. That seems like a good move.
Yeah, we're a lot. It's a really beautiful place and just wonderful people. So we're having a lot.
Nice. So I found I was in some like cool, I mean, it's rare to say a mall is cool, but I don't remember where it was, but there was some kind of cool mall with like independent shops. And, you know, coming from Little Boulder, Colorado, it was actually kind of refreshing that it was so well designed. And in one place they had this big Weiss display, and even without knowing the story, there was something like blatantly, obviously magnetizing about them. They weren't just pretty, but there was something that felt handmade. I think the boxes were there as well. And, you know, I was in love with it. And I think, you know, when I was a little kid, my mom's rule, we were very poor. My mom's rule was like, if you're still thinking about it in a week, then we'll talk. Maybe we'll get that thing for you. And I remember I like couldn't forget about particularly the black watch, the black face. So I bought it, and you know, that was kind of a big deal for me. I appreciate style and all that, but you know, I hadn't really grown up with quality watches or anything. And you know, one of the many points I appreciate about you all, and obviously I didn't really get the difference between auto, what I think of as auto, which is kind of what I got, the mechanical auto or whatever, and just wind. But they're actually made by you. I remember complaining once about something. I think I was confused that it wasn't fully automatic, you know, or maybe it is, and I'm still confused.
Well,
and I remember the lady like really patiently saying, you know, something about you. And I was like, oh, he's actually making them. This is such a craft shop. Sorry, go ahead.
Right. Well, so the thing about an automatic watch is that unless it's fully wound, it's not going to have that full power reserve, right? Just like if you unplug your iPhone after only 30 minutes being plugged in, it won't have a full charge, right? So when you have to wear it for at least 8 hours to fully wind it. And that's 8 hours for normal activity. If you're sitting in front of the computer without moving your arms, it probably won't keep your watch going.
Right. Yeah, I think I was like under the impression I am pretty active. I bike, I don't drive, and I, you know, climb and all that, but I definitely spend a lot of hours at the laptop. So I think I was like, oh, it'll just run forever because I'm moving. And yeah, I was like, only thanks to that, whoever that patient lady was, she was like, I think you need to wind it, you know, maybe read the manual or whatever. But she was really nice. And yeah, I mean, the other thing I really appreciated, which, you know, it's a lot of money from one point of view. They're like around 2,000 or a little bit more, but that's super affordable for like a quality watch. And that seems pretty intentional. So maybe tell me about that, if that's correct.
Yeah. So the companies I worked for before starting my own business, they are Swiss watch companies, and one is Audemars Piguet, and then the other one I worked for after Audemars Piguet was Vacheron Constantin, and they make beautiful watches, all mechanical. Some of them can be extremely complex as well, but the starting cost for something like that is over $20,000.
Yeah,
expensive. And for me, that really limits who can actually gain access to that and enjoy it, right? So I had this thought of why spend $500 on a throwaway electronic type watch when you could spend a little bit more and move up into something that you could actually keep for your entire life and pass it down to the next generation. So I've really tried to keep prices as reasonable as I can for having such a complex item, and also an item that is not easy to make. takes a lot of different specialties to make watch parts and complete watches.
Yeah, so just, it feels like you're being kind of humble, like you're making a lot of specific parts. I mean, maybe all of them, I don't know, yourself.
It depends on
Is that right?
watch model. But we, in this workshop that I'm sitting in, and I say we a lot, and it really is me, but we have machines here for making tiny little screws out of metal. So like stainless steel screws and also other types of materials, some titanium. We can also do wheels, little tiny pinions and wheels that go into watches and clocks, as well as the cases. So the larger part that is on the outside of the watch, and bracelets and things like that. All of that we can make here, and it's all made of metal. The only non-metal parts in a watch are the strap, if it's not a steel bracelet, or you have the sapphire crystals, which that's the glass that you look through to see the time, and also the jewels are made of sapphire. Those are little tiny bearings. So all these materials are things that could be recycled as well, which I think is pretty neat, because we're dealing with, in a watch, brass, stainless steel, some carbon steel, and possibly titanium. And all of that, if you do at some point decide that this watch is no longer worth repairing or reviving, then it could be completely recycled. And in manufacturing, same thing. All of the scraps, when we cut away material, it goes into a recycling bin, all organized by materials, and it goes off to the metal recycler. So to me, it makes me feel better knowing that I'm not producing some cheap throwaway plastic item.
And that's sort of what you were saying is the difference between the mechanical category and the automatic category, or whatever you call it, the digital or
quartz.
Sorry.
So a quartz watch uses a quartz crystal inside of it that you run electrical current through, and it will vibrate at a known frequency. The rest of it is a little computer chip, and that.
So in Ecoland, you know, we call what you're talking about like a closed loop. You're creating an even better, because it's heirloom quality. It's, you know, relatively direct, like metals can be recycled pretty cleanly and high percentage. You know, both in terms of sourcing and in terms of getting recycled at the end of the Weiss's the watch's life. But these are heirloom quality.
Thanks for listening. Hope you're getting a lot out of it. The full conversation is on our indie platform that supports and continues our work, elephantjournal.com/videos. You can subscribe, listen, watch, and participate there. And when you do so, you'll keep these mindful videos and podcasts going. elephantjournal.com/videos. May it be of benefit.